And I think we're live, Mr. Coops. Evening, one and all. It's myself and Andy that you've got this evening, doing a live on the Extra Place for Beginners. We've got Cheltenham, or Cheltmas as much betters like to call it, the Christmas for our community, coming up on the 12th of March. So we get a lot of questions put to us in CS. Andy does as well on Facebook, in all the conversations on there of what are extra places, how do we start doing extra places, what's the best way to do them. So we thought best idea with Cheltenham coming up and a lot of people asking about it, and it's a great money earner for Cheltenham as well, is to do a live on it. So you've got myself and Andy for the next hour going through how to do the EP side of things. As always, any questions, guys, please put them through to us. It just makes our life a lot easier for the night. We don't have to sit here and waffle on at you. We can actually do content that is actually meaningful to all of you. Any question, just put it into the post on YouTube, the newbies group, or onto the Outplay group itself. All pins should be going up any moment now. That's what Andy's sitting and sorting out for us. So yeah, fire those questions in and take it from there. We'll just be concentrating on the extra place catcher for this evening. We may have a quick look at the extra place master as well. That's on the pro tier, just as a quick show to you guys. But it will just be concentrating really on extra place catcher tonight because it is just the beginner's guide that we're going through with regards to that. So, Andy, you all set from your pinning and everything that's been done, mate?
Yeah, we're all pinned. We're across all the groups now as pinned, live on YouTube. We're everywhere. And so, he was very popular the last time I was on. This chap, the car detailing and beginning musician. Evening guys, been waiting for this. Had a couple of goes at EPs, but still don't understand it and using the EP catcher. I think you better elaborate on that a bit more with what you don't understand. An extra place, it's quite simple. All we're doing when the bookies are playing an extra place, so normally they might be playing 3 places, but they'll be playing 4, just as like a little bit of an arm twister to get you to bet on a race if you were a regular punter. But these are something that we can make money out of just by backing a horse each way at a bookmaker, one that's got an extra place offer on, and then laying it off as the win and laying it off as the place. If we can get that horse to finish in that extra place, then we're going to win in the bookie, win at the exchange. So it's a win-win scenario for us. It's a great money spinner. It has been for me for donkey's years, for as many years as I've been doing match betting. But working out which implied odds are the ones to go for example. Yeah. Okay. This is like the easiest, simplest formula that I'd share with you. And if it was a race that's just offering one extra, just a single extra place, like most of them are, I'd be looking for minimum implied odds of 20. Anything below that, and you're really going to be struggling to make a long-term profit from them. I mean, if it was like 19.7, that would be fine. But I saw somebody in one of the groups that took one that was 9, and that's way too low for a single extra place. If it's a horse race, it's offering multiple extra places. Like Sky might be offering 2 places, or Paddy, or Bet365, or William Hill. Then you can halve that. You can halve that implied odds. So if you've got 2 extra places to go at, implied odds of 10, they're fine. But you want to be keeping it to those rules of 20 for singles and 10 for doubles, and that will keep you long term. It'll keep you in the profit. You will get bad runs of not in extra places, and I do see some members where they say that, I've tried a couple of extra places, but I didn't make any money. It's like, well, you're not guaranteed to make money on 2. I think my longest streak of not hitting one was 65, which was mind-bendingly bad. But then when I started hitting them again, I think it 4 or 5 in the next 2 days, which more than made up any of the losses that I'd incurred over the 65 that I did in it. But that would be the simple rule. Would be those implied odds, 20 on a single and 10 on a double or a treble or a quadruple, and that's going to keep you profitable.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I've been sort of match betting for about 5 years now, and it wasn't until I started talking to Andy about extra places just before Cheltenham, one of the years, and he went through easiest possible scenario to do is just look at IOs of 20 and above for singles, and for doubles, trebles, the odd, well, you don't really get quads. So the doubles or trebles, just keep them at 10, 11, 12, and you'll make money from them. I went through a not far off your number as well, Andy. 58 was my highest run without hitting one, but just stuck to the process from there. And yeah, my profits from EPs been there. So yeah, the 10 for 2 or more EPs, 20 for singles, can't get wrong from that side of things. With regards to some 20 IO with the rank outsiders, happy days. I prefer a rank outsider. It's higher odds from there, means more profit from us on that side of things. And you will be absolutely shocked at the amount of what would be classed as rank outsiders actually do come in that extra place. They're rank outsiders for possibly winning the race, but they've got a good chance of finishing 4th, 5th, 6th in the race. And that's what we're looking for. So, yeah, the rank outsiders, just still get on them. Don't even look at the odds of the horse. Just look at those IOs. That's all you need to be looking at with regards to them. And so myself and Andy been doing extra places. Andy's been doing it for years. I've been doing it for about 4 years, and our profits have been phenomenal. Just following that real simple basic rule of the IO to look out for. Ignore the odds from there. If you are just starting out with extra places, what I would probably recommend for it to keep your qualifying losses down, to see what's actually happening with the system, to see where your profits and losses are actually coming from, is not go sort of £10, £20 each way. Just sticking at £2.50 each way. Your qualifying losses will be pennies from that side of things, and then also you will still make a nice little profit from it. So do that for the first of 30, 40, 50 extra place bets that you're doing, just so you're comfortable with the process. You can see how you're making a profit and loss from it, and it's not impacting your bankroll too much. So just keep those stakes nice and low. You can learn it from that side of things. So what do you mean by a single or double or treble, etc.? Complete newbie to this. No problem at all. Basically what we're saying is that if the industry standard, which is always marked out by Betfair on a horse race, that the 2 o'clock at Newcastle is the industry standard would be 3 places for 12 runners on that race. So every bookie would be paying out 3 for the horse to finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in that race. What you'll get is Sky, Bet365, 888, numerous bookmakers saying, we've got a bit of an offer on today. What we're actually going to do is offer you 1 extra place on that race. So we're actually going to pay you 4 instead of the 3 for it. And that's what we mean by a single. It means there's just 1 extra place being offered by that bookmaker. A double, we're saying there's 2 extra places. So if the industry standard was 3 and Sky were paying 5, that would be the double. And if an industry standard was 4 and Bet365 were offering 7 places on that race, that's what we mean by a treble for it in the context of extra places from that side of things. So it's just a nice simple way to look at it from that side of things.
Yeah, perfectly put, mate. The trial bets as well. You said you've been doing trial bets of £1.50. I presume that's £1.50 each way. I think I started just by doing £2 each ways. I just thought that was an easier figure to use than £1.50. Just putting a straight 2 in the stake box rather than 1.5. It was just easier. But after 2 or 3 weeks of trialing them, I soon went up to 5s and then 10s and 20s, and then really started hitting them big time. As your bankroll goes up, the more you can afford to put into the market, and it's one thing I've never stopped doing. It's relatively easy profits from the bookmakers, but I don't. It's one thing I do bang on about. If you're using a Gubbed account, just hit them any time of the week, anytime, any day, whether it's in the day or nighttime races. You can hit it with a Gubbed account anytime you like. But if you've got really good, healthy accounts like Sky, William Hill, Paddy Power, Bet365, they're pretty much my top 4 bookies. The only time I'm using those for EPs is going to be on televised racing, which most of the time it's Saturday. You will get other festivals throughout the year, and then you can use them on them as well, like especially for Cheltenham, because Cheltenham's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then there's going to be racing on the Saturday as well. So that's literally like 5 days of bashing your extra places. But I won't use those good accounts midweek. I really want to keep them as safe as possible for as long as I possibly can. So I won't. That's just the reason why I'm not going to be using my good accounts on non-televised racing, because the bookies they do tend to stick out like a sore thumb for them.
Yeah, they do, without a doubt. I'm exactly the same, Andy. I keep my top 4 bookmakers well away from EPs during the week. Saturdays, I won't hammer them, but they will get some business from me for my EP side of things. But some of the lesser bookies, the likes of 32 Red, any bookmaker that I'm gubbed on, I'll just jump on those EPs and take them for whatever race I can with regards to that side of things. So yeah, definitely protect those real high earning accounts, or what we call our prime accounts, Bet365, Sky, Paddy, and leave them for weekends, leave them for the festivals, that side of things. So definitely on there. Sort of ties in with what I was going to go on next. And how do you choose which horse if there's more than one with IO that are the same? Just get on them both. It doesn't matter. The more horses you can get in a race that are IOs of 20 and above, means that you're going to get more chance of a profit from there. Yeah, you have a bit of a qualifying loss to take off. But the main thing with regards to that is don't put them all on the same bookmaker. Make sure you spread them out across the bookies that you've got. So if there's a race that you've got paying 1 extra place and you've got 888, 365, Sky, and Paddy all paying 1 extra place on that, and you've got 4 horses with IOs of 20 and above, just do 1 horse on each of those bookmakers, and do it from there. You'll see your profits increase. The bigger festivals again, like Cheltenham coming up, the Grand National, you'll get more than 1 horse on a race. You'll get away with probably 2, maybe 3 on a single EP. I'd probably not go more than 2 myself on the Sky 365 and such like. But where they're offering 2, 3, 4 extra places, you'll get 3, 4, 5 horses on that account, no problem whatsoever. The Gold Cup race, every man and his dog, everybody in Ireland, everybody else will be on that race. The bookies won't really care what's going on that race, to be honest with you. They'll just see money pouring in here, there, and everywhere. They won't have time to see however many million transactions are going through on that race. Is the Gold Cup on the Thursday or the Friday? And it's
No,
Friday,
I can never remember. But you're right in what you say.
No.
It's like whenever there's a big race on, all my mates and phoning me up, can you put £2 on this for me? Can you put £2 on that? And I've probably got 20 bets on one race. I mean, they're more small, piddly little bets. So it just shows you on these big races how much the bookies don't really concentrate. It's more the 8:30 from Wolverhampton on a wet Thursday night. If you take £200 of profit out of a bookies on that night, that's when he's going to notice. Not at Cheltenham when there's £1 million just gone through the books on one race. That they really ain't going to notice that £20 each way bet that's gone through.
Yeah, and the amount of transactions that go through, it's scary. All you need to do is just to see the money that's going through is just have a look on the exchange on one of the races. Look at Betfair Exchange on the races for Cheltenham, and you will see literally millions of pounds going through that exchange just for that one race. And that's people doing £2.50 each ways, £5 each ways, £100 each ways, varying stakes all over the place from it. So the money is just ridiculous, and you'll see high amounts going through at weekends. You'll see a few £1,000 going through, but Cheltenham week it's scary the money that goes through there, and that's just a snapshot of what's actually being placed as well. So yeah, some massive money. So you'll go unnoticed.
Yeah, you could use S Markets as an example. I think a normal race on a Saturday is you'll probably see £250,000 traded on a race, any one of the televised races. But at Cheltenham, it'll be 6 times. It will be at least £1.5 million, £1.5 million on Smarkets, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be even more on other exchanges as well, like Matchbook, Betfair, Pocket Bet, BetDAC. All of these will be as busy. It's crazy amount of money that goes through at Cheltenham time. It really is the busiest time it's the busiest 4 days the bookies are going to have in the year. Put it like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, this did some EPs and double for Doncaster at 4:15 today. 2 horses finished second and third, unfortunately, just outside the EP places. Then qualifying loss was £9. Did I mess up here as I'm using bets with 2 high qualifying loss? Without knowing what you put on each way, it's really hard to say. If you're doing £20 each way, and what the odds were, it's not a million miles off from there. But if you're doing £10 each way, yeah, I'd say that qualifying loss is too high. If you're looking at IOs of 20 on there, even with 100 to 1 shot, £10 each way, you'd be having a qualifying loss of a couple of pound per horse. So, yeah, you're probably not looking at the IOs correctly on that side of things. But if you want to drop an email into support, which is just support@outplayed.com, I'm back on shift tomorrow. I can have a look at that for you, see what your back was, see what your lays were, quickly work out what the IO would have been for it, and advise on that one. So yeah, if you just do that to support@outplayed.com, mark it for my attention, Chris. I'll have a look at that for you tomorrow and can go into a lot more detail for you with the facts and figures and screenshots of it, no problem whatsoever.
While it's still sticking in my head, can I just get this one out? Because it will be the first time that a lot of yous have done extra places, especially over the festival. There's no harm, and take it as you will, but there's no harm in having a look the night before with Cheltenham. I certainly will be. I know Chris will be. Last year, we were getting implied odds of 80, 90, 100, 120, 130, 150 was about the biggest I saw on the night before last year. And then getting up early as well, because the early bird really does catch the worm when it comes to Cheltenham. Last year, I was getting up at 5:30. I was setting the alarm for, so I was ready to rock and roll for about 5:45. And it was just a case of firing up the extra place catcher. And every Cheltenham race, there was bookies that had got horses pretty much all around the 70 and 80 mark. And within an hour and a half, 2 hours. I've got pages full of horses that I've just got amazing implied odds on. Now, not all of them are going to come in. They never will. But enough came in last year to make sure that I left Cheltenham with a really healthy profit, and it was worth all those early mornings and late nights, because I was coming on to Outplayed and doing a recap of the night time as well. I just remember the Saturday when I finally finished my shift on Saturday. I was supposed to go down the pub with my mates. I just ended up curling up on the settee for about 3 hours. I was absolutely shattered. I think I'd had about it was probably about 17 hours sleep over days, which wasn't very healthy, but it was profitable. But it's just going back to, if you can get up early, or if you can't, if you don't want to have a look the night before, because you will find some really monster implied odds knocking around.
Yeah, we were a bit shocked when we started doing that a few years back, to look in the night before of how many IOs were up in the high 80s, 90s, hundreds mark. It was like, this can't be right. But we stuck at it, and then again we were up at R5, 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, going through them. Andy was WhatsApping me, I was WhatsApping him back of ones that we were finding, and we're like, this is absolutely crazy. But this year, bit of a godsend for us guys, with regards to the lives that we're doing during the Cheltenham week. We're actually going to be doing them at 11 o'clock on a morning on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So we haven't got the late nights with us, so you can sort of relax and chill out yourselves a bit. But 11 o'clock in the morning, we should be still seeing a lot of really good IOs to be getting on. Be looking at the extra place master and the stuff on there as well during that week for bets that will be coming through from that. So yeah, the 11 o'clock in the morning slot is going to be absolutely prime. Obviously, we appreciate that a lot of people can be at work for that, so you might be able to catch the recording on your lunch break before Cheltenham actually does start on that day. But we know a lot of people have booked those 4 days off for Cheltenham to be able to get on as much as they possibly can. And we'll be going through all the offers that are about, all the nice bet and get refund offers that are there, the EP side of things. So, and we're mixing it up a bit. One of the days you're going to have to put up with me, one of the days with Andy, one with Oz, and one with Simon, I believe, during that week. So it's going to be a nice mix for you guys during that week. Again, get your questions ready for us on that day and that week, and we'll fire them through. But yeah, it's going to be a busy week with Outplayed side of things. It's going to be a busy week for Cheltenham side of things. It is, as I said at the start, it's Christmas for match bettors. It's the 4 most profitable days in the year. I'm myself personally, and know many others that have actually made more in those 4 days than what they have over a month period. It is that busy with offers. So definitely worth keeping an eye on what we're doing and what we're advising through the Facebook group, through the website, through the forum. All those channels are available to you guys, and just make the most of them for that day. Talk about the EP Master. Does 20% IO apply for the Master as well? This can sound a real bottling sort of answer, and it's like yes and no. The reason being is that yes, you still can use the IO side of things on the EPM, as we call it, but there's a lot more to it than just looking at the IOs. You need to be looking at the estimated values and everything else. But we're going to be doing another pro roundup in the coming weeks prior to Cheltenham as well. So keep an eye on that. And we'll go through to it in more detail. So sorry, it's a bit of a bottled answer with regards to that. But yes, you still can use EPM for IOs if that's how you prefer to do it. But there's a lot more to it than the IO side of things. It uses a hell of a lot of algorithms, to bring out better results for us, and looking at more horses and the odds across the race, just as opposed to the odds. But for starting off, extra place for beginners, just look at the IOs of 20 for one extra place, 10, 11, 12 for 2 extra places, 10, 11, 12 for 3 extra places, and you won't go a million miles wrong at all with regards to that. Great question, because we keep waffling on about it, but what are implied odds?
Oh, you're better to explain that than me.
Yeah, I'm trying to put it into in a way that I'm not sounding contradictory or
without going too heavy on
condescending
the
at all.
maths. I mean, I can bring up what they actually are, but when you read out that script, it sounds ultra complicated, whereas it's not. Roughly, let's say if you had a qualifying loss of £5 and the profit you was making was £100, then the implied odds of that is going to be round about 20. That's the simple way of looking at it in my head.
Yeah, that is the easy way doing it. It's basically calculating what your losses are and doing it on potential bets for future bets from that side of things. So it's basically the easiest way. It's the number of times that the horse would need to land in an extra place for us to break even. So if you've got something like a horse, I don't know, 9 to 1, 10 in decimal from that side of things, and if we need it to land in that extra place just 10% of the time, if it were odds of 20, it would only have to be 5% of the time. So it takes a calculation across from the amount of times that it needs to finish in those places in order for it to be profitable from that side of things. But yeah, the way Andy explained it is probably the easiest way. It's just looking at your qualifying loss.
I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible, but that's probably the best way of explaining it. It's your qualifying loss versus the potential profit of that horse finishing an extra place or places. That's as much as there is to it. But by keeping to the little formula that me and Chris have been using for years, over time, I've kept a pretty good track of it. I think I eat about one in every 7.1 races it is now. I eat one extra place in every 7.1 extra place attempts. So by keeping to those implied odds of 10 for a double or 20 for a single, that just ensures that it keeps me well in profit, because I'm beating the odds. I'm just beating the system. And by following the formula that me and Chris have been waffling on about, you will too. And many members have followed the same. I can see a lot of people saying that they haven't done extra places, but I can assure you that there's been hundreds of members in your position who've got to grips with them, and they're ones that have gone from the 1K club to the 5K club to the 10K club to the 25K club, and there's too many of them out there to mention. But they all started the same. They all started small, and then I used to see the post pop up in my daily post, and it'd be like, "Oh, Andy, I've hit a £20, £30, £40, £50, £60, £70, up to like £250 extra place." When they've fully got the mastering extra places. So if you just want to do one thing, give the extra place guide a read, and then read it again and read it again, because I think it took me about 8 times reading it before it finally sank in. But when it did, and I started to see the money coming in, that's when I started stepping the stakes up. I think one thing you mentioned last time we was talking about with Chris was doing an actual doing it just down on paper, doing a paper exercise.
Yeah, that's how I started off with EPs first. And there's I love all my numbers, my stats, and everything else. And I was sort of umming and ahhing about the EP side of things. So all I did was just a paper trail for about a week, 2 weeks, looking at horses that had the IOs of 20 and 10s. Were just jotting down on paper, if I was to do a £10 each way bet on this, what would my loss be for it? Literally just copied the information off the extra place catcher, and then just doing a track over that of, I think it was about 100 horses that I tracked over that 2 week period, and could see that the profit was there for it. I think the profit came out doing £10 each ways. I've got it in my note in a very, very, very old notebook somewhere. Would have been about £250, £300 just over that 2 weeks from it all. So I could see that it was working. So I then put that into practice, did just £2.50 each ways for the next few bets, and could actually then see the real money coming in from it, and then up my stakes accordingly with regards to that. And now look back and think, why did I do that paper trail? Why didn't I just jump in? But I did it for my own peace of mind from that side of things. And yeah, it's worked for me from that side of things in the past. If there are 5 places, how many horses you bet on and with which? If you mean 5 extra places, you'll never see it. The most you'll ever see is 4 extra places. I can never, ever, ever remember a 5 extra place anywhere at all.
I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think that there was one with 5 extra places, but I'm pretty sure it's only 4. That's only and you don't get many of them. But a 4 extra place race, it is a thing of beauty. And it's great when you get like 1 extra place in it. It's even better when you get 2. It's amazing when you get 3. But it's in the quad. That's like it's in an all-in-one in golf. I mean, you can cover the whole field. It is possible. That's more of a Van Sink or Dutching. And we really don't encourage people to do it because you can lose a lot of money doing it. Because it happened at the Welsh National. And then I think it happened at the Welsh National again. No, it wasn't at the Welsh National. I'm sure it was the Midlands National, where North horses finished the race. I think in the Welsh National a couple of years ago, only 4 finished. And then was it 5?
4, maybe 5. It was 4 or 5 only finished that race. Absolutely belted down the night before and on the day and during the race. And the horse just couldn't put up with the conditions. Fallers all over the place, pulled up everywhere. I say 4, maybe 5.
I'm pretty sure
that race.
Pretty sure it was 4, because I remember I lost a decent amount in it. But I know our good friend Ben, he lost. I think he lost 4 times what I did, just because of the conditions. And then I'm sure it was the Midlands National last year. I think the bookies were probably playing 6. Oh, sorry, it might have been paying 7, and it was like 5 instead of 7, but only 5 finished again. It was leaving you in trouble. So by doing them normally and covering anything with good implied odds, that would be the way to do it, rather than getting into Dutching, because that is something for those that are really more experienced. And now that most bookies have relieved us of the best odds guaranteed, there's not so much upside and side action that can go with any possible best odds on a race, which years ago you could. Now the bookies, because they're being all horrible and nasty and tight, they've taken the best odds away. So you'd have to give me a very good reason to Dutch a race these days, because the amount of maths that goes into it, double checking, treble checking, quadruple checking, everything, it's just not worth the hassle. So sticking to extra places, it's a lot more easier.
I said, there was another good friend of ours as well, Paul. I think it was one of the Cheltenham races last year.
Oh yeah.
Doubled up on a horse and missed a horse off that finished where it needed to, and lost a fair wedge from doing that as well. So yeah, the mistakes with Dutchin are they're quite scary. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong big time. If it goes right, it goes right really, really well. But for the risks of Dutchin, it's not something I've ever got into on horse racing. I've Dutched the odd sort of goal scorer bets and that sort of thing, which is absolutely fine to do. But when it comes to horse racing, me and Dutchin are two very, very separate roads, and hopefully never meet again, because it just scares the living daylights out of me for doing that sort of thing. So, yeah, but the extra play side of things, doing it the way that we do it, it's a lot safer. You'll get your QLs through there, but you will see over time a really good profit from doing them. We keep going on about the extra place catcher. I suppose doing a share of my screen.
You bring that up while I just answer this question, then, mate.
Yep.
Which ones were good again? Sky. Now, Sky's probably your number one. That they really do offer more extra places than anybody else. But like you've put up there, Betfair, Paddy Power. Paddy Power are really good. And it's not like me to say this normally, but for bookmakers, they'll probably be about as honest as you can get. They're very fair. They're very good with a justice refund, which I've profited from many times. William Hill, they're also up there. They're a good bookie, good for the extra places. And Bet365, those would be my my top selections, my top bookies.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. And Paddy also probably get a little bit of a placement up for me, because they are by far the funniest bookmaker out there.
Yeah.
Just look at some of their stuff on social media, on Instagram, Facebook. The posts they put up are absolutely brilliant. Their media section have got a great comedy aspect, so they probably just edge it a little bit for me on that side of things, because they are very, very light-hearted. But yeah, the extra place catcher. So just easily found in the tools section, which just then is just extra place catcher when my laptop decides it's going to play. So is there obviously a trading guide and a video to watch to explain best ways to use the software, what it actually does, how you can filter things down, and so on and so forth. So we've only got the one race. No, we've got two races left this evening that have got extra places running on them, which is just Sky that are offering that. I'm going to do a quick double check. The way that we check which bookmakers are offering the extra places on there is there's a list put up on the forum every single day. You can tell I've had a day off today because I've not even logged into the forum once at all. So we just look at Sports Reload offers and today's horse racing extra places. And we need to be at the very top of the page. So the 1625 is already gone, 1640. So the 8 o'clock and 8:30. So it is just Sky that are offering the extra places on these two races for us. So both at Kempton and Sky are offering 4 places on those two races instead of the industry standard of 3 for them. So what we'd be looking at is we go back to there is the extra place catcher on the tools. And we can see there is Sky that is only coming up as the result for there. The reason for the 3+ there is if you click on that, that would have the amount of bookmakers in and the exchanges that are being used for them, because obviously every exchange has a different lay price for it, and they also have different commission rates for us as well. Obviously, MatchBook is our prime exchange that we use currently due to the brilliant 0% commission that we get for Outplayed members through there. So Matchbook would be the very first one that I would always look at, just because of that 0% commission. So everything is listed. It should be, if it's all right. It's one thing I've never ever been able to find out is how the actual listings are done, but it really doesn't make much difference. What we're looking at really is just this column here, the implied odds column. So we know that for this 8 o'clock race that's happening at Kempton this evening, there's just one extra place being offered. So as myself and Andy have said earlier on, we'd be looking for implied odds of 20, around about 20, 19.5, 19.6, 19.7, 20 upwards for it. And we can quickly see that absolutely none of those horses have got an implied odds of 20 for it. So the quick answer to that is that I wouldn't be placing a bet on it.
Nothing close, is there?
That's simple for it. And for Kempton, the 8:30, again, nothing through on implied odds of 20 or above for it. So again, I wouldn't be placing a bet with regards to that. But if I was to, I can actually sort of force an issue here just to show you guys with regards to that. So if by some miracle on the Lion Strikes running this race, it had back odds of 41, which it does at Sky, and the lay odds at Smarkets were 41, and the place odds, and that's on the 3-place market that we'd be doing our lay bet on, were at 16. We'd have implied odds of 19.23. Me personally, I'd be quite happy taking that. It's not quite there, but it's not a million miles off, to be fair. So I'd be quite happy doing that.
It's there or thereabouts.
Now, it's not far off. So doing a £10 each way bet, so £10 on the win and £10 on the place with Sky, and then doing a lay stake of £10 on the lay odds of 41 for the win and £5.63 on the place odds would give us a qualifying loss of £4.68 for it if the horse finished first, second, third, or if it finished 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th. We'd have a qualifying loss for it because the horse hasn't finished in that extra place that we're looking for. It hasn't finished in that 4th place that it needs to be in for us to make a profit. If the horse did finish in the 4th place, we'd have an extra place profit of £85.32 for it. So we're risking £4.68 in order to make £85.32. So we're giving ourselves those implied odds there of 19.23 with regards to it. So we only need this horse to finish in that position 1 out of 19 races for us to be in profit with regards to that. And that's why we don't look at these odds. The odds really don't mean anything to us with regards to where it's going to finish, what our profit's going to be, nothing like that side of it. So £4.68, I'd be quite happy as that as a qualifying loss because of the odds that are there. And I'd be more than happy with that profit below it as well. So if we're looking at the one just below, and I'll change that to 7 so I know that'll be there. So because the odds are lower on this horse, being at 23 on Chiramo, we'd be looking exchange odds for the win at 23, lay odds at 7. We can see that the qualifying loss is only going to be £2.29 on that, and the extra place profit would be £51.71. But this gives us massive implied odds of 23.58, which I'd be on all day, every day, all over that, no problem whatsoever. So I know that I'm risking just £2.29 to make a profit of £51.71. it's a no-brainer really when it comes to that side of things for it. So that's just quickly how the EPC is. You don't need to do the calculations for the implied odds. The extra place calculator does it all for you. The odds themselves are always shown on there. They're taken from the bookmakers and put straight on there. It's very, very similar to the odds matcher. Pulls the odds through from the relevant bookmaker, and everything is there for you in black and white to see. So yeah, it's a very, very simple process for it, but definitely watch that extra place video, read the guides 2, 3, 4, 5 times, however many times it takes to understand to do it, and you'll just go from there. It is the next stage after your reload offers to get into his extra places without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I can see somebody's just. I can't actually see the screen at the moment because I'm on Facebook trying to find a video because somebody's asked if we can show how to do a back and lay the win and back and lay the place. But I've already got a video of me doing this on Facebook. It just takes forever to find it because it's quite an old video. But if you can just carry on for a sec, Chris, while I try and locate this.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Let's see what sort of questions we've got coming in. So what would the exact bets be if you do this? I can see what you lay. What back bets do you put on? With the back bet, it's just whatever you're comfortable as your stake, so £10. And then on the bookmaker, let me just call up any of the bookmakers. I'll share my screen again in a second. Where are we at? Kempton 8:30. Let's just share my screen. Present. Share screen. Bet365. Share.
Got it.
So all you'd be doing with the bookmakers is whichever horse it was. So let's say it was De Vegas Warrior. You'd click on the odds there, and you put in your stake of £10, and you just click that each way box there. So it's therefore doing for you £10 on the whim, £10 on the place for you. The odds are worked out at 1/5 of the win odds for the places, which is in decimal 7.5. Take away 1, which is your stake. Divide that by 5. Add on your 1 again. So it's 6.5 divided by 5, which is about 1.35 off the top of my head. Add another one back onto it would be 2.35. There or thereabouts as your place odds. So all it is just a case of making sure that you tick that each way box on the bookies bet slip when you're doing an each way bet with them. The lay ones are very simple to do. As you say, you're literally doing the back on the win. So you're doing the lay on the win, and then you're doing the lay on whichever place is the standard. The bookmakers always tell you, they'll always say, we're paying 4 places instead of 3 places. So you know it's the 3-place market that you need to be doing that lay bet on. And that's where the extra place catcher will draw the information from with that side of things.
Let me just bring this one up. So somebody said, as a newbie, could you just go through it? So I'm just posting that. I'm just posting the answer to this one in the thread because I did do a little video ages ago just showing how I do them, just how to use the EPC and doing a back and lay. So if you just want to scroll down, you'll find it there. Give it a watch. If you've got any questions, you can either fire them into support tomorrow or you can fire them into Oz on Facebook tomorrow. I'm away tomorrow. Or if you can wait till Friday, you can fire them in on Friday and I'll happily answer anything you got to talk about, anything you want to know about extra places.
Cool. Another one about the EPM. How much quicker, better, easy is it with the extra place master? It's about the same, to be honest with you. The Extra Place Master does draw in odds a little bit quicker, so they're a bit more up to date because that is specifically looking at horse racing. So it's just drawing the odds for there, whereas the odds matcher is obviously looking at different markets, so it does a bit more searching. So the odds are updated a little bit quicker on the Extra Place Master. They're almost instant, to be honest with you. There's no quicker out there, and it's the same. There's tabs on there where you can just literally go on and place the bets through there. So it is really, really quick and easy to use. But I said we're doing a Pro Tier one in the coming weeks anyway. So we're going to a bit more. There are some previous Pro Tier videos that we've done that are available on the forum if you wanted to have a check back through them. That myself and Andy have done, Simon's done, Oz has done. So there's a great variety there about the Pro Tier. It's a question that we sort of do get asked quite a bit. I do all most on phones, haven't touched Extra Places, is laptop needed? You can do it on a phone, but it's so much easier to do it on a laptop or even on a tablet where you can have multiple tabs open on your browser, because you will need to go back and forth on occasion between the Extra Place Catcher, the bookmaker, and the exchange as well. So if you've been doing match betting for a little while, invest in a second-hand laptop or a Chromebook or something like that for a couple of £100, and you'll soon make that money back that you've invested into that, no problem whatsoever. When I was away last year, I took a Chromebook with me and had no problems using that whatsoever, and just a lot easier than trying to do it on a phone.
That's all I use. All I use is a Chromebook. I mean, it's a big old Chromebook, but I just used the one Chromebook. Somebody's saying that 2 screens is awful. Yeah, it is. It really does. But I've always been. I taught myself with 1 screen, so I'm used to it. But obviously, the more screens, the better. Like some of our mates have got some really good sweet setups. You know, they've got 4 and 5 screen setups, and they look super cool. But me, I'm fine. I can get by just on the one.
Yeah, I've got my laptop that I use that's always got numerous tabs open. Then I've got a 32-inch widescreen monitor that I use next to me as well, that I can have multiple things open at once. So, but that's for just me, just how I prefer to do things. But yeah, a phone, you can do your basic match betting on without a doubt. But if you're getting into Extra Places, I would highly recommend a Chromebook or a laptop or even a tablet, just so you can have those multiple tabs open and make life a lot easier for yourself as well. Thanks for live. Not specifically VP, but you mentioned that Matchbook has 0%. Is it not the case with Pocket Bet anymore? Still get 0% with Pocket Bet. If you did the link through them previously, that hasn't changed whatsoever. It's just that there's a great deal with Matchbook. There's so many more markets available on Matchbook. There's a lot more liquidity goes through them at the moment. So if you haven't signed up to a Matchbook account, just use our link when you do your initial sign up. If you've been with us for a little while and still haven't got 0%, just get onto the forum, search Matchbook, and sort out the 0% with the rep that's on there, and they'll happily get that sorted out for you. So yeah, but Matchbook at the moment it's always been my exchange of choice. That and BetDAC are the two that I've used for quite some time. Even before SmartKit stopped the 0% without played, I had so many issues with SmartKits myself, sources of wealth and everything else that they wanted from it, that I just went straight up to Matchbook, and I've got a great relationship over there. I've had no problem with them. So yeah, definitely get on to that side of things for it.
Yeah, I've got to back you up in what you just said there as well about Matchbook. I mean, the main reason why I pulled all my funds out of SmartKits, it was during the Cheltenham, and it went down in the middle of the races, and that was you know, the one time in the world you don't want an exchange to go down is in the middle of the biggest days racing in the UK, and it did. And I think it went down for something like about 45 minutes, 55 minutes. Missed 2 races, a load of extra play shots that could have had on. So moved it over to Matchbook, and touch wood, it's never let me down yet.
Nope. Yeah. Last year and the year before, Smarkets crashed. I think the year before it crashed about 6 times during Cheltenham. And like Andy said, for 40, 45 minutes at a time. And when you're trying to get EPs on last minute, it's the last thing that you want to be happening. So, yeah, definitely Matchbook has been my preferred choice. Betdaq I've been using for a few months, like their layout, like their setup over there as well. And obviously I use PocketBet as well. So, yeah, three exchanges. I use Betfair Exchange from time to time. Yeah, they've got sort of 5% commission rate on there, but sometimes you can make that back just from the better odds and the liquidity that they've got in the marketplace. But yeah, Matchbook and Betdaq all the way for me on that side of things. So Bookmaker has 1 extra place, making 4 places. Matchbook has up to 4 places. If I lay it off on the Matchbook, should I pick 2 places or 3 places? 3. You've almost answered the question there yourself, where it's saying the Bookmaker has 1 extra place, making 4 places. So that 4, take away the 1, is the 3-place market that you'd lay in on Matchbook. So you do a lay on the win side of things, and you do a lay on the 3-place market. It's that simple with regards to that side of things. Have you got anything more to add, Mr. Coops?
No, I think we've pretty much. I think we've pretty much covered everything tonight. I think if I was going to say anything, it's just you might be looking at this and thinking, "Oh, what are them 2 blokes going on about these extra places?" It's far too complicated for me. I'll never understand it. Like there's one guy, and he's 78 years old, and he's doing extra places. And if he can master it, anybody can master it. And he's an absolute whiz at it. But it is just a case of doing your first one, doing another one, doing 10, doing 20, just doing with small stakes, get used to doing them. Because you're probably not going to be, if it's the first time you've looked at extra places now, you're not going to be hitting Cheltenham and making thousands of pounds worth of profit this year, but you can next year. And people will be thinking, well, oh yeah, but how can I keep my accounts in good health for that amount of time? You don't have to, because bookies still play extra places on gubbed accounts as well. There's only 2 that don't. That's BetVictor and what's the other one, mate?
Sorry, Match Group, Betway.
Yeah,
Betway and Talk. I'm not sure about TalkSport, to be honest with you. I've had stories said to me that TalkSport do pay them, and then I've had stories people say to me, no, they don't pay them. So it seems a bit hit and miss with them. But yeah,
that's
Match,
just miss them out. But all your big bookies like Paddy, William Hill, Sky, Bet365, they all pay extra places on gubbed accounts. And Paddy is by far the most generous. Even if they've gubbed you, they still don't object to you by winning £250 or £300 off an extra place. They really don't care. It really is. It's better for me. It's better than 2-ups, because once you're gubbed on a Bet365 account, you can no longer do 2-ups. The same with Paddy Power. If you're gubbed on Paddy Power, you can't do a 2-up. But if they've gubbed you, Bet365 and Paddy, you can still do your extra places. That's why, for me, it ranks as the number 1 offer. That once you're going from the intermediate level and you're going a bit more further up the ladder, not to pro level, but you really want to start making some proper serious profits then Extra Places. It's for me, it's the number one. It's the number one place to go. It really is. It really has changed my life. It really has.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, the beauty of EPs is the fact that you don't need to have a healthy account for it. You can literally use your Gubbed account and still make profit from them. And as me and Andy always say, I'll happily take 20, 30, 40, 50p out of a bookmaker. If it means I'm eating into their profits for the year and putting something else into my bank, I'll happily be all over that and take them for whatever I can. So yeah, EP's absolutely brilliant for Gubbed accounts on to make continued money from them. I'd say Andy, 2-ups. Yeah, Andy knows I love doing my 2-ups and will always carry on doing them, but you can't do them on a Gubbed account. Whereas EPs, all day long, you can just do the EPs with your Gubbed account, so no problem whatsoever on that side of things. And then the very, very last question we've got in, I presume you need a decent bankroll. No, not really. Not if you're starting off doing £1.50, £2.50 each ways on that side of things. Ideally, you could do with £500 to £1,000 would be the ideal. But if you're starting off on £1 each ways, £2.50 each ways, no, you don't need a massive bankroll to be able to do that side of things at all.
No, even with just £1,000 bankroll, you'd be easy to make 50, 60, 70 pounds per extra place. What's not to like about that? I mean, that could be the equivalent of the profit of 10 horse refunds. So yeah, one fowl at 60 or 70 quid. That's just 1K will cover that easily.
Yeah. Nicely done. So I think that's all of us covered for this evening, guys. Thanks ever so much for your time and your questions that you put through to us. If there's anything else, as we always say, just drop us a message on live chat, Facebook groups, send in an email, and us guys will happily answer those for you throughout the day. So no problem whatsoever. And next week you've got myself and Oz again doing low risk casino offers. So a nice sort of interim and a bit of a break from the sportsbook side of things. And myself and Oz back on live. And then I think Andy's then going to be approaching up to Cheltenham week.
Yeah, Cheltenham time
with a couple of lives.
I was sitting here with racing hat on.
As you do. So guys, thanks ever so much for your time this evening. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch up with you all soon. So
yeah, see you later,
good night from me.
And it's good night from
Take care, guys.
See you later.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.